Okay, Miles, can I show you exploding flowers? Watch this. Okay, ready? And touch it. Wow.
Hey, flowers.
Wow. Can you say wow? Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma LaFave, and today we are going to be doing a really fun and kind of therapeutic technique to create some beautiful exploding flowers. So let's jump in and get started. Okay friends, today we are doing a really fun painting. This is perfect for beginners and kind of someone who's just dabbling in watercolor for the first time. And it's not only just fun to do and almost therapeutic, but it turns out really beautiful. So we're going to be painting some kind of like abstract loose florals, but we're going to be working mostly on the wet on wet technique. Now, there's a couple things I want to test out before we do the actual painting, and that is looking for exploding colors within my palette. Now, when you are doing the wet on wet technique, which if you don't know is when you have a wet surface, so say you lay down some water or a light wash of a color, and then you pick up lots of pigment from your palette and you drop it into that wet surface, you get these kind of watercolor explosions. Now the thing is, and I'm not sure why, some watercolors explode more than others, and I'm going to show you because I want you to test this out with the watercolors you have. And like I said, I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's the certain pigments or the binders or the brands. I've noticed it inconsistently within certain brands. I know my dioxazine purple from Winsor Newton was always kind of more of an exploding color. I don't have that one in this palette, but the purple I do have, I think it's not Winsor Newton. It's Shinhan. It's not an explosive as the Winsor Newton one, and I'm going to show you what I mean because you probably are like, what are you talking about? But some colors and pigments will explode more than others, and those are the colors we want to use for our painting today. So I'm going to walk you through it. Right now I just have kind of like a scrap piece of paper. This is B watercolor paper, and it's only 90 pounds, so it's really thin. So I was hoping it was 140 when I bought it. I didn't actually look. It's only 90 pounds, which means it weighs less, it's thinner, so it's not ideal for, finished paintings. So I've been using this kind of a scrap paper. So grab some watercolor paper that's scrap paper, and you're going to test out your colors to see which ones explode the most, because for this technique, you want the most explosive colors. So I have a flat brush here, and I'm just going to wet it up. And I'm going to apply it to my page. You don't have to do the whole page, but just a big enough area so we can test, and we might have to wet up the page again. We're just going to be testing out colors on this. Now, when you're doing the wet on wet technique, you do not want there to be so much water that if you were to tilt it, it would be dripping off your paper. That would give you pools, and it doesn't allow the pigment to move the way you want it to. It will just kind of sit in that pool. So you want this kind of sheen. If you were to tilt it to light, you get this kind of shine on your paper, but not where it's dripping. Okay, and it also allows you to see where your paper's wet and where it's not. Okay, so we want to move kind of quickly so this doesn't dry on us. Now I'm going to pick colors. I'll show you what I mean with colors, like here. This one, is it dioxazine purple? Something violet. I can't read it. It's too dark on my paper. But this is what the wet on wet technique looks like. See how it kind of explodes? Now this isn't bad. This is a pretty nice explosive bit, but I'm going to show you one of my explosive colors that are like, wow, it just travels. And this is kind of what we're looking for. See that? With just one tap, it just kind of really, really goes. Actually, the purple wasn't too bad. This is Phthalo Blue by Michael Harding. Super explosive. This is what we want. Okay. Another one was my Turquoise Green by MaimeriBlu was pretty explosive. Yep. It just travels. And this is what we're looking for. So you can just create some fun like tie-dye looking art. Let's see if there's one that doesn't. This is cadmium yellow. See how that one doesn't move as much? Some of them won't move as much. I mean, if you tap and tap and tap in the same spot, they will eventually move out, but they don't explode the same amount. It moves a little bit slower. Let's try a red. This one is Permanent Red by Shinhan. See how they're not exploding as much? So you want to find your exploding colors. One of my favorite colors is this Quinacridone Rose from Michael Harding, but it does not explode very much. Let's make sure that our paper's still wet down here. Now I think that this magenta, or no, Crimson Lake by Shinhan actually does a pretty good job at exploding too. Let's see. Like it moves pretty well. So test out your paint colors on a separate piece of paper. See which ones explode the best. And those are the colors that we're going to use today. So let me see my greens. My greens don't tend to explode very much, but we're just going to be using that for the stems and stuff anyway. Okay, that's on. And if it doesn't move at all, like if it just does a dot like this, that's because the paper's dry. Okay, you only get movement when the paper is wet. Now with this painting, you're also going to notice some things called watercolor blooms. And that is when you, ooh, this one's not bad. That is when your paper kind of looks like this. So I'm going to show you up close. And see, it's actually kind of dry in the middle and it's created this hard edge around. And in some cases, that's not necessarily a desirable look, but because we're doing more of an abstract kind of painting, go for it. I think it actually looks beautiful when you have these blooms or cauliflower marks, as some people call them. So embrace the imperfections and just have fun with this today. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you quickly before we move on, if it's too hard to see just clear water for your flowers that we're going to paint, take a lot of water on your brush and just a really light wash of a color. So when we do our flowers, you can see where you're putting the water, and then we'll add it. So just work on also developing a light wash of a color if you want, just to have some sort of base. But besides that, let's just get painting and have fun. Okay, so I'm going to be painting now on my, I can't remember which side is which, I think it's this side, on my Saunders Waterford watercolor paper. And we're going to just be painting some really loose flowers, okay? I don't even want you to think of it having to look like a specific flower. We're just going to be painting some petal shapes. It can be where you have like a circle for the center and then you're just painting these kind of lines towards it, like thicker lines, or it could be like a half flower where you're just painting, you know, they're all coming back to one area. You're just going to create petal shapes with your water and your brush or a light wash of a color, and then quickly you're going to pick your exploding colors and you're going to tap it into the base. So I'm going to show you. So I mostly had the Phthalo Blue, the turquoise, and that magenta that were the most explosive, so that's what I'm going to use. Maybe I'll use a light base of just this blue that's here, just so you guys can see it. Okay, and I'm going to start by painting a really loose, like super loose, just so you can see, flower. And I'm just doing these like almost circular motions, like they don't have to be perfect, like this. And then watch what happens when I grab my blue, and I'm just going to tap it towards the center. Look at this. And I'm going to leave it, okay? Or I might just do like a couple little lines like this going into the center, but I'm just going to leave it. If you want to kind of move the watercolor around, you can do that, but this is the purpose. You just want these exploding flowers, all right? So I'm going to do another one over here, and they're going to have those weird marks, and that's going to be okay. All right, now I'm going to do one that's kind of like a side view. And I'm using my size 12 brush for this, just really big and chunky. like that. You can even touch the other one just a little bit. Maybe I'll have a petal kind of falling down here. Okay, I'm going to grab my magenta this time. I'm just going to touch the base. This one's not moving as much. It's not as explosive as that, but you can keep touching to kind of just get it to move a little bit. You can even help it along by like tilting your paper. I'm going to grab a bit more. Just tap. The trick is just leaving it and being okay with that, okay? Which is really hard because I really want to help it along. I want it to move a little bit further. But that's already starting to dry, so I don't want it to have hard edges. Like that. All right, and then I'll do another one. Let's do a smaller, just grab my base of blue. I'm going to do another one over here. Just these circular kind of petal shapes. I'm going to grab my turquoise this time. That's an exploding color. See that? Look at that. It's so cool, and it's just like super therapeutic just watching it move. You know, you can mix colors too if you want. And you can do this over the whole page if you like. What if I mix this blue, oops, that's a lot of blue, hold on, with some of that magenta to get a purple. Because they're both kind of exploding colors. You can even tap it in here a little bit. Maybe a little bit more magenta. Just to get a different bit of purple. And you can do a really small one over here, like a bud. And then just kind of tap if you like. I don't love that color. Now see, there is a pool right here of too much water, and that's why that's not moving. So I'm going to just wash off my brush, and I'm just going to kind of lift up some of that water there. I had too much water, so it's not moving. Maybe I'll just grab some of this turquoise. Just let it go. Okay, and you're just going to play. Just play. And I think I want one more down here. It could be almost like a full flower. And I'm going to do the magenta. And then we're going to start adding in some, what's it called? Leaves and stems, just so they don't look like they're floating. Although you can just do a bunch of floating flowers. But I want to have a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab some Sap Green just to start. I'm going to make it fairly wet because I want to drop in other colors too. So I'm going to have a stem kind of coming down. I'm going to just have a bunch of stems kind of all kind of connecting. Okay. They don't have to connect, but this is just what I want to do. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit more wet. I have a light wash of my green here because I want to drop in different greens. So I'm making the stems fairly wet so I can grab darker greens, lighter greens, just have a different variety. Maybe a little bit of my, what's it called? Moss green. And then I'm going to do a nice big leaf here. I'm just going to kind of drag it, touch that a little bit. Maybe have one kind of folding over. Okay, and see how it's moving? That's what you want. You want little bits of movement, and you can always just add more pigment. You know, it's moss green. Just tap it and just enjoy this wet on wet technique. It's honestly so relaxing and so fun to do. And your paintings turn out beautiful. Curve your brush. Like that. Awesome. All right. And then lastly, I'm just going to add a center to this one. Maybe I'll just take this dark purple just to have it kind of the same. Just do some little dots around just so it has a center. Maybe a little bit there too. But that's about it. Honestly, so much fun. And you can always add, you know, little flicks of whatever you want to make it a little bit more whimsical, abstract, whatever. But that's it. It's so much fun to do. You have to try this. Find your exploding colors in your palette and just go for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye. Can you say bye?
Bye. Hello.
This is beautiful. You want, that's green. Do you want green? Okay, hold on. You want some green?